Welcome to the Homeschool Mom Chat. So I'm going to slow it down to chat with you because I want to talk about something that I actually think can help you slow down. And so I need to slow down myself. Today, I released a podcast episode. I released a podcast episode about the 7 different ways or 7 different lessons that I learned about myself, about my kids, about my homeschool, because I decided to leave. I left my homeschool family for a weekend. I don't think I've done that more than maybe 2 or 3 times in the entire almost 2 decades, 2+ decades of family life. Have you? I'm curious if you've been there and you've actually left for a weekend more than just leaving to the grocery store for an hour. If you're a homeschool parent, I'd love to hear from you. If we haven't already met, by the way, I'm Teresa Wiedrick. I'm the certified life coach and homeschool mentor found here on the Instagram channel Homeschool Life Coach. You'll also find me on YouTube on the Homeschool Mom Wellness and Mindset Coach. And you're going to find me on my website, capturingthecharmedlife.com. And that tells you a lot about me, the name of my website, because when I first began homeschooling, I left most Wednesday afternoons or evenings for about an hour or two just to write. And I decided to write about all the benefits, challenges of this homeschool life. And I did it typically at a Starbucks. No affiliate here. I just actually really did do it at a Starbucks every Wednesday evening, or I'd head over to the library, which was a lot quieter, and I would write about my homeschool life. And my intention behind my homeschool journey, or my homeschool intentions, was really to have a charmed life. And I've come to understand that it is, and it has its challenges. Somewhere in 2018, the summer of 2018, I wrote a book called Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer, and that was really born out of my heart that knew that homeschool moms needed to create practices to address their needs, their emotional needs, their physical needs, all the things, because it is a very saturated life, a charmed life, but a saturated life. And then 2019, I officially started coaching. 2020, I started a podcast, and one of the very first offerings that I did, or that I offered in my coaching, was a retreat. I actually was coaching the retreat virtually before March 2020, and yet it was fortuitous, the timing. And it was it's really one of the most fun offerings that I have, because I know that you'll need to get away from your homeschool family at times and take a breather and reassess why you're doing what you're doing, and really plan for this homeschool thing intentionally. How you show up, what you want in your relationships with others, how you want to relate or connect with those kids that are in your homeschool. There's also different elements. Even the way you do homeschool, you want to be intentional about how you're doing it. So every once in a while, you need to come away and assess how you're doing, what you're doing. But in the podcast this week, I shared about a weekend away that I took with, I think it was just a few hours away. I drove to a writers' conference. I love writing, as you can guess. And I went to a writers' conference, and I didn't even call to find out how everybody was doing in the first hour, the second hour. It took me a solid 4 hours until I texted and discovered that everybody was doing okay. Oftentimes the reason people don't want to leave is because they think that they're the only ones that can truly look after the homeschool kids well. And although you have a unique stamp on how you do that, and it's probably a beautiful benefit to your children most of the days, you need to allow other people to also develop relationships with the kids, including sometimes their dad, or perhaps other parents, or grandparents, or aunts or friends, or whoever is like in a close connection to the family. And so sometimes it's really useful for you to leave so that that other person in their lives can actually develop a deeper, closer connection to the kids. But the realities of our homeschooling is that it's pretty saturated. And even if it's saturated and we need time away, we tend not to want to go take it because of various reasons. Are there certain reasons that you find it especially challenging to leave? And I'm not talking again about the grocery store leave. Like, if you are at the place where you can actually go to the grocery store now without kids, I know that it feels like quiet, peaceful. You can think two thoughts in a row because there's no kids with you. But I don't mean the grocery store quiet. I mean full quiet. When you're actually able to do whatever you want to do for just an hour, what would you do? I would love to hear what you would do if you'd put it down below. For me, it was all about writing. So that's why I found myself at Starbucks. Since then, there's a lot of other things that I've included. Still writing. I'm still writing. I'd love to hear what you have done or what you like to do. If you remember. I remember at a certain point when somebody had said something like, well, maybe you need to spend time doing your own thing. And I'm like, doing my own thing? What does that mean? And what would I do? I would definitely clean the house. And this is not something that is ever on my bucket list for like any list for fun, but probably whenever my kids could leave with their dad, that is one of the first things that I did. And I don't discourage moms from doing that. I actually think it cleans up your mental space, so it's a useful thing. You can actually clean for 10, 15, 20 minutes and then do something fun. But you ask, what fun? I forget what fun is. Yes, this is a common discussion. It is a common thing to say that because we get so absorbed in our homeschool mom role that we forget, what do we like to do? What is there to do other than the things that I'm so used to doing with my kids? And of course, I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy having fun with your kids and doing activities with your kids. Of course, you should be doing that. That is part of the charms of this homeschool life, is you get to do so many cool things with them. But there is value in you investing time just in you. Your interests, your curiosities. You should be able to have a seat at the homeschool table too. So here's a few things. I shared 7 on my podcast, 7 things that I learned from my weekend away. And you can actually hear the full discussion on the Homeschool Mama Self-Care podcast. But here's a couple of the things that I learned from my weekend away. Sometimes my kids and I were together enough to be a bother. Okay, so the biggest benefit, I think, to homeschooling is actually the socialization. Like, I'm not just being cute. I'm not just challenging the public zeitgeist. I actually believe that the biggest benefit to homeschooling is the socialization, the connection, the attachment of the kids to the parents, and the obvious benefits that roll out from that. That is, I think, the biggest benefit. So why would I say that sometimes my kids and I needed to not hang out with each other, that sometimes we needed space? The answer is because everyone always needs space at times. Everyone. Maybe not a 2-year-old, but older people, older kids, and parents, certainly. We need that space away. And it might be the only advantage that I see when kids are schooled. I'm curious what you think, but this is what I've seen. When kids spend time away from their parents for a good chunk of the day, parents actually go, hey, how are you doing? How was school? What did you learn? Although I don't know about that question. That's probably not a useful question. But, tell me about your day. What did you do? You can ask questions like that with enthusiasm. But if perchance you are a homeschool mom and you go for a walk after your typical homeschool routine in the day, say you go to the mailbox to pick up the mail and you return within 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you say, as you walk through the door, hey kids, I'm home. How was your day? They're probably going to look at you sideways and wonder, you were with us. I don't get it. Why are you asking? It doesn't have the same cachet. There is something to be said about having space at times because you like hanging out with your kids. You like reuniting and reconnecting with them and showing them this excitement that I am so glad to see you again. So sometimes sometimes we need that space away. That doesn't mean they need to go to school. It might mean that you can just relish the hours that the kids are in the nature school, or you can relish the time when even one of your kids goes off to their part-time job or youth group or their thing that's apart from the family, and the family dynamics change, and you actually appreciate them a little bit more that evening when they come back home. Or your partner takes the kids so you can have your home alone. I mean, is there anything more special than being at home alone? Just for an hour, 2 hours, things are in place. You know where everything is, and it is actually in its place for a whole 2 hours. This is exciting. I think sometimes we need to actually create time away because we want to appreciate the people in our homeschool homes more. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. The second lesson that I've learned is that mom has got to have something that is just for her, apart from her kids. I'm nearly 24 years into parenting. Like, how did that happen? But I think it was about year 12 that I started writing on my website that I recognized I needed to have something outside of my homeschool mom role. This is not actually a lesson that I thought I would ever learn. It's frankly something that I didn't think was real. When people would talk about it, I don't need something else. I really love being mom. I really love homeschooling. I really love this family life. And I did, and I didn't stop loving it. But as time went by, I noticed that I needed something that had nothing to do with the kids. It was just me. Who was I? What did I like to do beyond my mother role? Because what I've come to understand is, though I am always their mother, no matter if they're grown or not, I am also separate from them. I'm a separate person, and it is inevitable that they're going to grow up, or at least you gotta hope. But they are going to grow up, even if you don't think that it's going to happen anytime soon. Maybe it's not, but it really will. That's the plan. The goal is for them to grow up, to launch into the world and do their own thing. And it will turn out that unless you are going to homeschool the neighbor's kids or have a few more babies when everybody's all grown up and left home, or adopted or fostered or whatever, then you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do next. So why not plan for it now? And that's what I noticed in my weekend away. It cemented it for me. I love writing. I love writing. Always have. Can't imagine that I won't always. I love writing, and I want to do this thing that has nothing to do with my kids. Yes, you can say, well, you wrote about them. Yes, I did. I would come away, and then I would write about them. I'm still writing about them. And yes, I did do that. I also wrote my memoir. I wrote a fiction novel, unpublished, but it's still there. I've written all sorts of different things. And a magazine series. I did an entire magazine series. I did a variety of devotionals that were published. I've done a lot of different writing. Love me some writing. And that is a unique stamp just for me. Another thing, the third thing that I learned from my weekend away, which I don't think any mother is going to say, well, I don't think you need a weekend away to figure that out. It is this. I think the realities of our homeschool life is that our role as homeschool mom is highly undervalued, unfairly undervalued. I think the mother role is undervalued. I think sometimes people give credence to it as though, yes, that is very valuable, but don't actually just do it full time though. And I'm not speaking against anyone that's also full-time parenting and full-time working somewhere. I'm just speaking to the homeschool moms that are presently doing their stay-at-home full-time homeschooling thing. It's highly undervalued. I mean, can I hear an amen? I can hear the amens. They're almost like a cacophony of amens. We know that we have been highly undervalued because not only is it not that cachet to be a mother, but it's also definitely not cachet to educate your children at home. In our culture, in our Western culture, we're taught what's valuable. Producing faster, valuable. Owning lots of stuff, valuable. Having letters after your name, valuable. Pretending you're more important than other people, valuable. Because being a homeschool mom, though, in our culture, and trying to influence our children to be kind and compassionate and connecting and intelligent and engaged human beings, not as valuable. Is it valuable? Of course it's valuable. Of course it's valuable. And if you haven't heard anybody else say it, well, I'm telling you now, it's valuable. Loving on those kids and helping to, create that next generation of engaged humans, valuable. But we don't hear it, and we don't definitely hear it often enough. I have a post that is attached to the show notes of this episode on my website called Learning Not to Care What Other People Think as a Homeschool Mom. If you just head over to my website, Capturing the Charmed Life, or even if you put my name into Google, you'll find my website, Capturing the Charmed Life. And you head over to this week's episode titled 7 Remarkable Lessons from a Weekend Away. You will discover this post, Learn Not to Care What Other People Think, in lesson number 3. Well, I'll tell you that I talk a lot more about the lessons in this podcast episode. The 4th was I am a whole lot more productive when the kids aren't around. I think we know that intuitively, but it is sure true. I talk about the library being the greatest place to be creative because it's so dang quiet. I talk about sometimes we excuse ourselves for our unkindness and impatience as homeschool parents because we are overrun with needs and complaints and expectations and how to manage that. And the 7th thing I talk about is no matter how consuming or frustrating some days feel, home education is very rewarding. The charms outweigh the challenges. So if you want to listen to the full discussion on my podcast, Homeschool Mama Self-Care, just head over to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts, and you'll get to hear the conversation there. But not coincidentally, the discussion that I had about the 7 lessons that I learned from my weekend away as a homeschool mom, it kind of bookends, or it weekends the season where I offer the fall retreat, which is coming up now. That's why you're going to see me on my account here talking about the Homeschool Mama Retreat. And I talked a little bit about it at the beginning of our conversation here, so you can look back to that. But I want to tell you that this weekend retreat, it can be on any weekend that you would like to spend time together, or if the time necessitates, because I'm accommodating a variety of time zones. It's typically 4 sessions where I meet with you, I spend an hour, and we have a conversation about what you actually need, where you're at in your homeschool. We'll do an assessment about a variety of areas, and we'll spend time discussing that. I find that even in that first hour conversation that we have, when we spend an hour together and assess where you're at in your mom life, also in your homeschool, and all the things, then you get clear on what really matters right now, and you're also getting clear on how you want to move or how you want to grow in your homeschool mom life. Also, how you want to actually show up in your homeschool from day to day, and how you're actually doing your homeschool, and whether it really is meeting your values or your vision of what you thought this whole thing would be about. And so just that hour alone is helpful. Now, you can join me in a no obligation conversation to have that conversation, even if you're not joining the retreat. This is a useful time for moms. I hear it again and again. In fact, Mina had shared with me, she shared a review. She said to me, you know what, I can't do coaching. This was a few years ago. I can't do coaching, but I want you to know that I really appreciated that hour. That was so clarifying for me, and I really appreciate your time. You can see that on the front page of my website too. But, even that time alone is really clarifying. But 3 other sessions is what we would typically do with each other in the retreat. And here's what we typically do. So your goal in the retreat is to get away, find a way to de-stress, take a breather, assess what's really going on so you know how you want to show up in your homeschool mom life. And here's what we'll do. It'll be helping you clarify your unrealistic expectations. You know how everybody is talking about we just have to lower our expectations? Well, here's the thing. Who is actually sitting down and writing down what are my expectations and which ones need to go? Because I think we talk about unrealistic expectations, but we don't actually do anything about it. We don't actually say, which of these unrealistic expectations are unrealistic and which ones do I need to get less intense about? And why am I intense about them in the first place? And maybe they're not unrealistic. Maybe some of them are realistic in our house, but not realistic in somebody else's. Do you actually spend time clarifying what the reason is that you had the expectation for the first place? I hear it on repeat that moms have unrealistic expectations of themselves. They're overwhelmed or stressed by that, but there isn't enough time spent actually digging into why do you have them in the first place? What's the reason you decided that they were fair game, that you can include them in your life? When you assess your unrealistic expectations and really get to the root of why you even have them, you begin to unravel whatever spider web you created around yourself that is hard to get off your body and just move into this relaxed, stress-free space where you actually can enjoy your homeschool mom life again. You got to know what you're actually dealing with in your unrealistic expectations before you just say, I'm just going to lower them. Not sure what lowering means. Guess it depends on the scenario, but you have to be really clear on what it is you're actually expecting before you tell yourself to lower or get rid of something. So we're going to talk about your unrealistic expectations. By the way, it usually is rooted in you feeling not good enough and trying to achieve some sort of good enough energy. And we all have different reasons for wanting to achieve something better, but we need to get clear on why that even exists. Okay, so the second thing we're going to do in the retreat is figure out how to create a home education routine that is consistent with your values, your vision, and your groove. Something that actually resonates for you, where you feel like you can be present in it and enjoy most of your days, that really reflects each of your kids, not just what you believe an education is supposed to be, or what an education is, what it looks like in somebody else's home or on somebody else's Instagram account, but really like how it reflects your specific family, each of the members of your family, to get clear on what really matters. When you do a little bit of a time audit, a priority audit, and an energy audit, and I'll explain more of each of those audits in the retreat. But when you get clear on those things, you're going to actually get clear on what really matters. And can I include this in my homeschool routine and still be present and still enjoy it? And the kids enjoying it too. Those are some of the factors that help you to release your unrealistic expectations. Second thing that we'll do, and then the third thing is about rejuvenation. Creating self-care or wellness practices, including you and honoring your needs for recharging, but also your creative needs, your learning needs. Sometimes some of us are working as we're homeschooling, so also honoring the needs that we have to invest time in the work that we're doing, and figuring out how to balance all those things. Now, if you know me, you know I don't like the word balance because I don't think of it as a scientific principle, perhaps, if you're trying to balance something on two ends, but not in a homeschool mom's life, because there are too many things to do. You cannot literally be in a state of balance all the time. I think you really just need to be in a state of presence and feel like you're including things in your life that matter, priorities, and then you'll feel more satisfied in what you're including in your life. But you have to get really clear on what those things are, and we will in the retreat. So the 3 key questions to know if you need a retreat These are those, and I'm going to read them because I cannot memorize this. Do I often feel overwhelmed by the pressure to meet my high standards or to create the perfect homeschool? And could I benefit from guidance or simplifying or on simplifying so I can reduce the level of frustration or stress in my homeschool? Long question, but do you? Do you feel overwhelmed by the pressure to meet your expectations? And do you think that guidance would help to accelerate the release of those expectations? Am I struggling to find a homeschool routine or approach that feels right for my family, for each of the people in my family, including me? And do I want to develop a more customized approach to my homeschool? As I often say, you are not homeschooling a method, you are homeschooling a child. And the last question is, do I feel emotionally or physically drained from family life, from the homeschool life? And could I benefit from a retreat to recharge, refocus, and gain clarity on your personal or homeschool goals? And I think the answer should always be yes, but of course I'm going to say that, right? Of course I'm going to say that. And yet, I had this weekend away probably like 7-8 years into my homeschool life, and I did not take time away before. And did I need it? Could I have benefited from a retreat? Heck to the yeah. There's a reason why I wrote about burnout and exasperation and frustration and overwhelm and stress. All those things, all those words and all those posts have been on my website for a really long time because that was my experience. And now that I've been coaching for the since 2019, officially, now I see my story is not singular. In fact, you are alone if you don't have these challenges at times. It is a common refrain. It's a common experience for homeschool moms to say, I feel overwhelmed, or too much is going on, or I think I'm getting to the place of burnout, or all the things that I just said. This is common, and we experience it differently. The same things in each person's home don't influence us the same. We're different people. We have unique stories. We have unique scenarios, very different scenarios sometimes, very different backgrounds. But it does not matter in my experience. I've walked alongside so many different women over the last number of years with different numbers of kids and different personalities of kids. They have different personality types, different Enneagram types, different Myers-Briggs types, because I like going into all that. Or different religious backgrounds, or different just frameworks on seeing life. There's women that work, there's women that don't. Women with chronic issues, women that are healthy and run half marathons. That clearly is not me. But there are women who are partnered. There's women who are not. There are just women who've had a really beautiful upbringing, women who have not. You name the scenario, and I can tell you, there is no scenario yet that I haven't encountered where women are happily, always present, always clear on what they need to be doing, always in a sweet spot at all seasons of their homeschool life. That I have not seen. We all experience the big challenges of homeschool at times, all of us. And so do you need a retreat? Well, that's your decision to make. If you do want to, let me know, and I will let you know how we can, or how I can connect with you so that you can book a conversation with me. We can talk about the actual details of it. But some of the questions, there's just a few things that I wanted to answer. One mom had asked, but before I do, actually, Sally, you asked me, this is just a texting conversation, a little bit about my hair, and you're selling products, and you're creating this whole system of products and offering that to homeschool parents, and we should talk about that sometime on a live. But anyways, I did put a couple strands of hair into the sink with a little bit of detergent, and my hair sunk. So I don't know what that means for you. I have no idea, but just get back to me. Let me know what you think. So one of the questions was, so there is a journaling notebook available for the retreat, the Homeschool Mama Retreat. Where do I find it? And it is inside the retreat course. So you'll see downloadable PDFs at the end of plenty of the lessons. But there's also a wellness journal that you will have as a download after you've registered and completed your coaching assessment questionnaire. When will you receive the book? Okay, so one of the things that I offer in this retreat is a copy of my book, the Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer book. You can find it on Amazon, you can find it on Etsy, you can find it on my website, but I'm going to send you a special signed copy. And not only am I going to send that book, but I'm going to give you a self-care package too, a little surprise self-care package. One thing you can guarantee is going to be in that package is a package or Lindt sea salt dark chocolate bar, because those are my very favorite, like the best chocolate ever. And so I'm going to include that in there, and there's going to be a variety of little things in that self-care package with the book, and I'm going to send that to you in the good old-fashioned snail mail, which I just think that's fun, because who gets snail mail anymore other than maybe bills and flyers and stuff like that. But so that's going to be fun. And then let's see, how do I schedule my coaching sessions? Well, when you just message me and let me know that you're interested, and I will get you my booking link so that you can figure out how to access me for the first session, and then I will give you a follow-up Zoom room link that we'll continue to keep over the course of, whether we do it over, if we do it over the course of 4 weeks, or if we do it in one weekend, and then you'll have the same booking link over and over. And what was the other one? Okay, if I'm already part of coaching with you, can I still do the retreat? Of course. Of course. There's no question that when different homeschool moms are coaching with me, it's typically an 8 or 12 week coaching program, depending on which program you're joining with me. But and there's a lot of crossover in conversation points, but I'm focusing my energy specifically in this retreat on homeschool moms that are struggling with unrealistic expectations, trying to create wellness strategies or self-care strategies include it in your routine, and then also to really clarify your home education intentions. So that's my focus for these 4 sessions. But if you're already homeschooling or homeschool coaching with me, talk to me about it, and we can make sure to incorporate those things as well. So if you want to learn more about that, just send me a message. And if you think, well, it sounds cool, I don't know who you are, I've never met you before, so I'm not sure that I'm willing to sign up for a retreat straight off. Well, I have a mini retreat, the very first thing that I created for homeschool moms. All you have to do is say mini retreat, and I'll make sure to get you the link. I just love the pictures on this mini retreat. I love the energy of it. I wish someone had the capacity to come alongside me to offer this kind of stuff when I was in my earlier days, aka somewhere between my 3rd year and about my 12th year of homeschooling. Because the 3rd year I saw as the season where I finally hit the wall, and I see a lot of moms experience this as well, where they finally realize that this homeschool thing is not happening the way they want it to be. They've created these routines, they've created, they've chosen all the curriculum, and they've done all the things that they think they're supposed to do. They signed up mentally for the method that they thought was the best one for their kids. And then by year 3, year 4, they realize, I'm either letting go of this homeschool concept, or I'm going to have to do it my way. And that's a beautiful season if you can get past that hitting wall moment, because then you move into the way that you want to experience your homeschool intentionally. However, I have met many homeschool parents who hit that year 3, year 4, and they continue with that year 3, year 4 energy forever, or as long as they've been homeschooling. So I've been there too. I see that a lot. But somewhere between year 3 and year 12, maybe year 8. But based on my writing on my website, I'd say year 3 to year 12, I was in deep need of having someone come alongside me to be a guide, to help me clarify what's really going on in my own head, in my routine, in my family to get clear on what really matters so that I can do this thing intentionally and with presence. And I'm offering it to you. I've had many people go through this retreat with me, but I can share with you 3 different people's experiences. First, Britt had gone through this retreat early in the pandemic, and she said, I recommend this retreat for everyone. I've been making my way through your retreat and loving it. Your voice has a very soothing quality. Gotta laugh here. I just have to. I love that she said that. I just never knew until I was online that anybody thought my voice sounded soothing, because my children probably would not agree. But maybe some days, maybe when I'm singing them songs. But your voice has a very soothing quality. It's been a special time. Teresa is a gift with the best humor. I am so blown away by the care you take to really get to know who you're mentoring and talking with. It's so rare these days. Yeah, that was a really special time with Britt as well. In fact, love Britt. And then Carrie said, Teresa is the real deal, an experienced homeschool mom who's been there and can help others get out of overwhelm. Her ability to hold space for silence and difficult feelings makes her no small talk approach so effective. I trust her. Her retreat, her resources, and her Ask Me Anything meetings have served me tremendously. I'm so glad she's in my corner. Yeah, and I still am. And the last person I want to tell you about is, her name is Sherry. And I share a lot more detail about her on the podcast this week. But she came to me in the DMs. We're having conversations in the DMs. And, I said, I'm doing this retreat. If you're feeling really, she said, not peaceful, and I'm feeling really flustered with everything that's going on with my family. That was just a few months into the pandemic, and there's lots of stuff going on with her family, as we all have experienced. And at the end of our retreat time, this is what she said. I feel like you know me. You offered helpful suggestions to rejuvenate and equip any homeschool mom in whatever stage she might find herself in. I enjoyed your candor and your laughter, your caring and your insights. You've allowed the experiences that have challenged you to be the catalyst to helping others. This retreat is for anyone who's lost sight of themselves in the midst of living a busy life and want to refocus on what's truly important. I hope all of your retreats bear fruit into deflated women like me, changing their defeat into delight once again, or for the first time. I told you at our first session that I was looking for hope and peace, and the tools unpacked in this retreat have given me hope. That was, first of all, her writing is beautiful, but also it was truly an honor to walk alongside her. It's an honor to walk alongside every single one of you. Beyond homeschooling, it's one of the most beautiful things I've had the privilege of doing. I know this homeschool mom life. I know it from my experience, obviously, but having worked with many women, I can see it from very many different vantage points. There are a lot of common challenges that we share. And though I think life is filled with challenges, and it's, really there is a growth opportunity for us to continue to grow and become who we're meant to be and live this life intentionally. It helps us to clarify what we don't want to be doing and how not to use our time. But also, it's challenging, but those challenges are truly calling us to grow and to learn or unpack certain things so that we can move into the next season of our life and do the next thing that we need to do. We're called to move those charms or those challenges, to transform them into charms. If we choose, we don't have to. We can stay in the frustration if we want. Many people do. And nobody is forced to grow. Nobody is forced to transform those challenges. But if you want to, and if you want to enjoy it, you can. So if you're curious to learn more, definitely write retreat in the comments below, and I'd be glad to have a conversation with you further. And if you just want to check out the mini retreat, you're welcome to ask for that link, and I'd be glad to grab that for you as well. So if anyone has any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a really lovely day, and we'll talk to you soon.